Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tiara Talks Food. I am back with another interview, and I'm so excited to have one of my friends on here. She is an amazing nutritionist. She has diabetes just like me, and we're going to be talking about some of the things that are on your mind, like some nutrition misconceptions and what nutrition means to us. So, we're both in the nutrition field professionally, so I think it's going to be helpful for us to discuss what do we think about diet, nutrition, all of those great things. And I'm going to introduce her in just a second. But before you click out of this video at the end, please hit the subscribe button and also follow me at TR Talks Food on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter if you want to. But now I'm going to introduce my guest, Alexis. Alexis Newman.
Whoa!
Hey, girl.
Hey,
Uh,
girl, hey!
I love your shirt, Black Dietitians Matter. Would you mind telling our audience about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Alexis. I am a registered dietitian. I do have diabetes. I was diagnosed when I was 18 months old. Um, I'm a mama to a very crazy, spunky toddler, and I'm married to a crazy, creative person. And then I have a pit bull dog to throw in the mix.
I love it. I love it. And
Yeah.
Alexis, thank you again for joining me today. Everyone, please go follow Alexis. Her social handles will definitely be in the description box. Make sure you shoot her a follow because she is definitely someone who has such a good view on what healthy eating looks like. When I see her post, I never feel stigmatized. When I see her post about diabetes, I feel like it's always inclusive. Like she's talking directly to me, even though she's talking to thousands of people. But let's get into what nutrition means to us versus dieting. So,
hmm
Alexis, I would love to hear your thoughts. What to you? What is the difference?
Right. So I come from a background that's more focused on the emotional side of things versus like counting calories, exchanges, food groups, things like that. When I first became a dietitian, I worked at a residential eating disorder, and I just saw the power of emotions and the power of food influencing the emotions for both the good and the bad. Even though I hate saying good or bad, but like the more destructive characteristics that an eating disorder can have. And so when I launched my private practice back in 2012 or 2013, my goal was to help people heal their relationship with food through um, eating well balanced meals. At that time, I was heavy into CrossFit. So I came at it from like the paleo background, even though that is a diet. I wasn't like forceful. It's more of like, how can we reduce inflammation and heal medical conditions with food and also heal your relationship with food? So that's kind of my stance now. I've been lately contemplating a lot the role of a meal plan in
Mm,
terms of emotional eating,
mhm,
and especially in the dietitian field. If you're working with emotional eaters, sometimes it's looked down upon to follow a quote unquote meal plan.
right.
So I've been kind of swirling around in my head about like, what is a meal plan? What's the role of meal planning?
Mhm,
Not dieting at all. When I think of dieting, I think of restriction. I think of food rules. I don't eat past 7. I don't eat before noon. I only have vegetables. I don't eat this. I don't eat that. Um, that's more of a diet mindset. And there's like, you feel ridiculed afterwards, or you feel down if you happen to eat a food that's not in your rule book or whatever. So that's kind of what I think.
Yeah, I 100% agree with everything you said. I think about like my journey and what brought me into the nutrition field. And at first I've done so many diets, like the Whole 30, I've done Atkins, all of those things that have a clear like start and stop, right? Because that's also the mindset of dieting, having all of these rules about things you can and cannot have. And I always felt like there was shame that was kind of built into that, a lot of guilt that was built into that if you decided to honor a craving, or if you want a piece of pizza but you're like, well, I can't have it because I'm trying to meet this goal. But the question is always after that, what happens if you do get that pizza? Do you feel like you're going to overindulge instead of just honoring that craving right then and there? I think it is definitely interesting how you said like um the role of meal planning and emotional eating. I count myself as an emotional eater, and my philosophy when it comes to nutrition is also work helping people heal their relationships with food and understanding how food, like what are the feelings that you get around food, how do you approach it, how do you think about it, how does food interact in your daily lives, and using that sort of approach instead of saying, well, here is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday meal plan. You eat chicken for the first 3 days, and for the last few days you eat fish or whatever. But that's not going to work
Hmm.
for everybody. Um, I like a more intuitive approach. Asking yourself like, what does this meal mean for you? And not even just like thinking of negative emotions, but thinking of positive emotions. Like how do you react around food when you're at your happiest? There's one part of nutrition that I've really come to love, and that's actually writing down your thoughts in like a journal or on your note function on your phone, and really being honest in that space, asking yourself, what does food mean to me in this moment? So
Yeah.
definitely reaching people where they are. Like when you work with when you work with clients, what do you hear from your clients who are emotional eaters and some of their misconceptions around food and nutrition?
Um, so if they say they're trying to abstain from a binge or abstain from eating XYZ food, they happen to eat it, and then they're like, well, I might as well eat it all now. I mean, I indulged, and it's like, no, you don't necessarily have to. You can choose to, but like let that be like a conscious choice rather than it actually happening to you. Like you're choosing to do it rather you just find yourself with an empty ice cream container. And even if you do find it, it's grace. Like there's room to kind of evaluate what's going on. That I like to kind of think of like the urges to binge or the urges to have something because you're emotional as a symptom of something else going on underneath potentially. And a symptom, not even like, oh, something's wrong with you, but more like, did I eat enough today?
Right,
You know, did I have enough water? Was
right.
work just super stressful and I just need that, dopamine fix or whatever? Um, yeah, so that's what I.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
I not letting it happen to you. That is I love that because part of emotional eating is letting food have this sort of power over you. Like if you're feeling upset and you know that there is a box of brownies, in my case sugar-free brownies that are not calorie or carb free, I if I'm in a super emotional state of mind, that box of brownies is going to bring me a ton of comfort. But I would not frame it as like, oh, I am making the conscious choice of eating these brownies or whatever is just nearby. I am letting my cravings or whatever else I'm feeling take control over me. And I think part of healing that relationship with food is making that conscious choice. And sometimes it's even helpful to just kind of state the intention out loud. Um, so if you're feeling a certain type of way, and let's say using your example, if you did have like that stressful day of work and you just need that fix, state it out loud. Say like, well, I had a stressful day at work and I want to go get some ice cream, or I really want those fries, and this is going to make me feel better in this moment. And also, kind of going back to what you said about the binge portion of it, and something that I found helpful is understanding that that's not going to be the last time you have that food. That food will be there the next day. So
Hmm.
you really can enjoy it in this moment and sort of move on, and also trust that you'll be able to have it again. It's I hope this makes sense, but like coming from I guess building an abundance mindset instead of like a lack of
Yeah.
mindset.
Yes, I was gonna say the same thing of like I was gonna say the opposite, but I forgot. But yeah, the abundance mindset, the scarcity, like
Yes.
that's what I was gonna
Yep.
say.
Yep.
Having the scarcity, like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna be able to have this again. Well, you have that fear because when you're following a diet or you have these rules
Yep.
in that rule set, you're not supposed to ever have this food. So of
Right.
course in the binge, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna have it. But of course we all know you're gonna have it again.
Right.
And that's okay, Like, for example, yesterday was a really annoying day for me. So annoying. And it wasn't even anything big, but like I had a package, I put the wrong address, and the address I put on it doesn't exist. So I don't even know where my package is.
Yeah.
So that happened. And then I had another package that is like stuck in postal land somewhere that's been there since the first. And there was another thing that set me off. I was in a meeting for work and everybody was getting on my nerves. And I was just like on edge. And I was like, you know what? I want a burger. So what did I do? I went and I made a conscious decision that I want a burger from the specific place
Yep.
and I'm going to enjoy it and I'm not going to beat myself up. And it made me feel better. Like literally, my daughter was falling asleep in my lap, eating her fries or whatever.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there eating my burger, happy as can be.
Yep.
And that's okay because it was a conscious decision that I chose to do.
Yes. Girl, I hear it so much. Like there's this place near me. I live in San Jose and we only have one soul food place. And
Mm-hmm.
last year that soul food place burned down due to a grease fire. And we have been waiting months and months for them to reopen and they just reopened yesterday.
Mm.
And also for context, everyone, Alexis and I both have diabetes. So if you have diabetes and you're feeling like you can't have certain things, listen to us talk because we're clearly showing you that you can have the things like burgers, whatever. And this is whether if you have type 1 or type 2, or any type of diabetes. Um, but they reopened yesterday, Alexis, and I went there with the intention of getting my catfish and fried chicken plate with mac and cheese and yams and a side of cornbread. And of course, like a Coke Zero, because I don't like to drink my carbs.
I don't like to. That's the thing. I don't either. It's like I have all these other carbs, but I don't like. It feels like it's wasting insulin or something.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yes. That's
It
exactly
feels
what
like that.
it's like. Unless the drink is like alcoholic, and it's like
Correct. It's
right.
worth it.
Oh, I love you, Black Diabetic. Can you show the audience?
Yes, yes, yes.
We
Those,
Chiana Talks Food is not sponsored by Black Diabetic Girl, but I am going to show off this amazing mug of Black Diabetic Girl. Please follow Kylie.
go follow her. Kylene is amazing.
Yes, I have a
Hmm.
Black Diabetic Girl tote bag and a mug, and the shipping was
Hmm.
super fast. Go support.
So fast.
So
Go support. She's amazing. I
yeah,
love what she does.
and she also has diabetes. Like one of the best people that you'll ever meet in the diabetes community.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't like to drink my carbs, but I get there, Alexis, and they're closed. I took like 20 units of insulin because I was ready. I was ready, and then I sat in the parking lot, and I was like, well, all right. So the a low's going to hit me eventually, so I might as well just go find something else. And then instead of, I guess, wasting that insulin and hunger on like something like McDonald's, which is something I wasn't feeling, I made the decision to go get a cheesesteak and fries, and it felt great. It felt great to be in power over my own choices around food
Hmm.
instead of just going to the first place that I wanted. And also, I know we're recording this on a Saturday. After this, I'm totally going back down there because I think they just opened. But
That's
yeah,
awesome. You've been talking about this place. I think the last call we were on, you spoke about this place.
it's
Sounds
so good.
delicious.
It's just so it's so good because it's I don't know, like I feel like food, it can also make you feel like you're at home too. There's such a social aspect to it that I think is just beautiful about how we talk about food. And no matter where you are, especially if you're someone who is Black or African American, and you see a restaurant that makes you think of your family, of your friends, like it's great to lean into that. And I feel like when we talk
Yeah.
when we talk about nutrition and what does healthy eating mean, we kind of leave out those aspects of Black and African American culture.
Culture, yeah.
Like soul food is, looked down upon by some people because of, its connections to heart disease or diabetes. And while there are some truths in those things, it's not the whole story. In fact,
Mm-mm.
I would actually recommend for people to buy this book called it's called I think it's called Soul Food. And the book is, yeah, it's called Soul Food, and it's about the American. It's a history book on the cuisine dating from slave trade up into the Great Migration and even in today. It's a great book. So yeah, that's
I'm gonna have to check that out. I've been doing a lot of reading of articles and um, about soul food, just because growing up, my family didn't eat much soul food at all, and I think it's part of the reason, because I was diagnosed at such a young age. They wanted to keep me well, so we had very simple meals. And now I have a gluten allergy, so it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult.
yeah.
But I've been trying to do a lot of reading about soul food and the roots of it. And the reality is that it's, what did I say? A lot of it is that food and the demonization of soul food is steeped in white supremacy. Because what we're realizing is that it's not the soul food, it's not the mac and cheese that's killing us, y'all.
Right.
It's not the fried chicken.
Right.
It's not the collards with the pork in it. That's not what's killing us. It's the stress of being Black in America, which is very controversial to say, but we do carry.
Controversial if you're not racist.
That's true. True.
Diabetes is a
but we can,
everyone. Just throwing that out there.
Right. But we carry around a lot more stress than people who have not been part of, our history and our culture. And stress is part of the root cause of a lot of these diseases.
Right.
And of course, we should eat our vegetables and eat our fruit, and we should definitely exercise, and we should switch up food, how we're making food. We shouldn't only eat one thing.
Right.
We should have variety, of course, but fried chicken a couple times a week is not going to kill you. That's not what's causing heart disease. That's not what's causing clogged arteries. So
yeah, and
it's the food deserts, it's the redlining, it's the all these other things that are happening here in America.
And I think the great thing about this book, and I really think that you'll love it, is because he does talk about the fruits and vegetables that we do eat. We eat things like collard greens. Those things are typically are grown in our gardens, and those are things that we harvest. And kind of going back what you said about food deserts, the way that our foods have been, I don't know if bastardized is the right word, but giving us all of the foods like vegetable oils or butters or things hydrogenated fats and products, and no access to fruits and vegetables that we deserve and that we need. And also that depending on where you go, so my family's from South Carolina, another part of my family is from Jamaica. If you go down there, you see that people have farms and gardens where they are still frying up some chicken, but they're also grabbing a head of cabbage from the garden. And that, in my opinion, does constitute a balanced, healthy meal, because you aren't processing it so much, as opposed to if your only source of food is a corner store and only thing you have are processed foods. What choice do you have?
Right.
So
yeah, here in Philly. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Here in Philly, there's a lot of initiative with having urban gardens and farmers markets here in different aspects of the cities, because there's a lot of food deserts where there's only access to corner stores, and a lot of people are getting their nutrition from there. So I think it's such a multifaceted problem. It's not just stop eating fried foods. It's no, you have to learn stress management. You have to learn, figure out movement that feels good to you.
And money also matters.
Money, yeah.
And also to be able to afford some to afford all of the things that you see on the My Plate chart or in your food pyramid. You need money to buy fresh things, and how do you do that when you are systematically uh, disenfranchising a group of people where they can't, where that's not even an option? And kind of like what you just said about what's going on in Philly with urban farms. um, there is an organization called Real Food Farms in Baltimore, which is where I'm from. And they took a food truck and they took it from like an urban garden, and they took it to some of the areas in Baltimore, and they would just park and let people in that area in food deserts um, buy or get fresh foods from their food truck. It was right in the heart of
Right.
the city, because in some places you're not near a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods, and even then, while there is a farmers market in downtown Baltimore, walking there is probably not in your best interest if it's unsafe to do so. So it's great to see people kind of take um, take some of these fresh foods to these areas where people really need them.
Yeah. And I think it's dope what you're doing in terms of like talking about food. I know you enjoy cooking and recipes and things like that, because a lot of my clients, like a couple of my clients, they got like food boxes
Hmm.
of vegetables they've never seen, but like simple things that would be common to me and you, they
Right.
never saw it before. And they were like, yeah, I don't really know what to do with this. I ended up throwing it away. And I'm like,
No.
well, let's talk about how to make these foods. And I am not a cook. I don't enjoy cooking. I do cook because I have to. um, my husband says I'm a good cook, so that's nice. He likes like 97% of what I make,
Yeah.
but it's not an enjoyable process for me. Anyway, but so I would talk my patients through of like how to make X, Y, and Z, or like ways to season it, um, like that. Because not only is access, they don't know how to make it in a way that tastes good to them because they don't know what it is.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's an issue too.
Yeah, there's a food bank out here that I was volunteering at before the pandemic, and we would give out those the recipe box or food boxes as well, but we put like recipe cards in them, so with different options on how to make those things. And one thing that was important to get across was that for them it had to be easy, so not a lot of chopping, especially if you have kids. You don't want them like to be near a bunch of sharp objects all the time. But also if children want to get involved, these recipes are easy for them to kind of learn how to cook themselves, but also
Oh,
making.
that's great.
Yeah, because that's a big part of nutrition education here, and also making sure that it's not taking too long. So not having them spend an hour or two in the kitchen and then reading a bunch of directions and hoping that they get it right, but making it about maybe about 5 steps, um, a few ingredients, and also giving that nutrition information so that way they understand exactly like how much protein and carbs they're getting, and also connecting the health benefits to the foods that they're eating, um, and that way they can kind of like understand why this meal matters, and then they end up coming back and actually enjoying the cooking process better and feeling like they're getting enough out of the food boxes that they get. So I think that is pretty cool. And I love cooking, so that's my jam. So, and I think cooking can be cooking can feel like a chore, and what I like to do is make it seem like it's fun, because it is, and it does, and you actually don't need like a bunch of fancy ingredients. So you don't need to feel like you need to be like on Chopped or whatever and also rushing to do things. I buy my stuff from like Big Lots, and and like get like the dried herbs and the small pack of chicken thighs and maybe some like rice or whatever, and in a bag of frozen vegetables, and I call it a day. And that's what I usually make. But also recognize like the privilege that I have to be able to do cooking experiments, because that also costs money and time that just
Yeah.
we don't have.
I was actually gonna speak on that, the whole time thing. Like a lot of for my full-time job, which is different from my part-time job or my private practice,
Mhm.
a lot of my patients are working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Like they don't have the time to
Right.
go to the grocery store where they would have to take multiple buses to get there and then multiple buses back and then all this time to have to cook a very long recipe. So I think it's really great that in your education you provide that. I mean, typically when I'm looking at recipes, if it has more than like 4 steps, I don't do it.
Yep. I hear you.
And then yeah, and then or 4 or 5. And then one thing that I've been trying to do, I can't remember the name of the book I read. Oh my goodness. It was a book. I can't remember now. But anyways, trying to figure out one thing you enjoy about the process.
Yeah.
So instead of like always focus like, like I don't like chopping things, it's taking so much time, like that, like a grumpy attitude about it. It's like, well, I get to, like what I've been telling myself, I get to provide a meal for my family that they will enjoy and like think about the things that I like rather not. So that is, and that's really helped change my attitude towards it.
That's awesome. That yeah, I love that. I love that mindset, or like thinking like how amazing. Like this already smells good. You know, I didn't like chopping it, but it smells delicious, and I can't imagine how it's going to taste. It's going to taste. It's going to taste great once it's done. And
Yeah.
also, like there's some really cool like hacks that I use just to save time. So a lot of the frozen vegetables now are come in microwavable bags. So you can I just pop in the microwave instead of dirtying up a dish because that's another part of time too, the cleanup after that. Also, cleaning as you go saves you a bunch of time. So if you're someone if you have a dishwasher, make sure that like your dishwasher is unloaded and kind of put things in there as you go so that you don't have a ton to clean up. If you don't have a
Mhm.
dishwasher, try to clean in between steps if you can, or when you have whenever you have like a small break in between the cooking process. But also like sometimes when I'm making vegetables, I put it in a also put it in like a container and pop it in the microwave, put all my seasonings in, and then it's done in like 2 minutes instead of spending like 10 or 12 on the stove. Um, and then if you're someone who really likes like meats, I really all right, Alexis, it's just us, so it's just me and you. I'm not a
Mhm.
huge fan
It's
of
a safe place.
this
It's
is
a
a
safe
safe
place.
space. I'm not a huge fan of boneless, skinless chicken breast. I'm really
Oh
not.
God.
I don't know why like whenever I go on Instagram and I see you know how you see like the meal prep photos and it's like yeah I have this chicken breast I'm like yo will you pop like it's already dry will you pop that in the microwave tomorrow it's going to taste like a tire like just get a pack of chicken thighs they're less expensive and they're juicier it's so hard to mess with
It's
chicken
so,
thighs.
yes, I agree. I agree. I do not. Hello, I'm a dietitian, and I do not like chicken breasts at all. I don't like a turkey breast. It's disgusting. I'm also a dietitian. I do not like cottage cheese. I think that's disgusting. Like
Girl,
a lot of dietitians recommend that. Oh, just have some cottage cheese and some fruit. So nasty.
it's so gross. I've really tried to like it because I was working with a trainer one time and she made me a meal plan and it had cottage cheese and she said yeah you can put in like cinnamon or whatever and
Nope.
I bought it I was like
What is this?
I'm losing interest and I'm losing weight but I'm like this is mad gross just eat
So
what
nasty.
it's it is a time saver mentally and a saver of your money if you just buy the
Eat
thing
what you like.
just
Yeah. Like I don't like brown rice, and I'm a dietitian. I don't like it. I don't like whole wheat bread. It's nasty. I eat white bread and white rice. My patients are like, "What?" I'm like, "Yes, I eat white rice. I eat white pasta. Whole wheat pasta is not pasta."
you know Alexis I'm a nutritionist and I have to say this I feel like I gotta say you don't need to buy fresh fruits you don't have to you can
No,
frozen is fine frozen is
it's
fine
fine. Canned is
but
fine.
yes I I feel like I feel like as a nutritionist, I'm also going to tell you to eat a slice of cake. I'm not going to tell you no cake. If you love chocolate, you must eat that small square of dark, unrefined, unsweetened chocolate. Girl, just buy the Hershey's, eat a small piece, put it away.
Move
For
on.
your night.
Yes,
Like
I agree.
why do you think that I guess like the field in general is like this? Like what where do you think that comes from? Why we say like, you must eat the brown rice. I know there's a science behind it about like having the extra fiber, but sometimes but I guess with the science, you also have to understand the um the behavioral aspect of people and what they like, but in instead of defaulting to whole wheat breads, cottage cheese,
Hmm.
and all this stuff like that. But I think
Right.
as why as nutritionists and dietitians do we do we, I guess, default to those things, especially on social
Right. So sorry, my blood sugar's on the rise.
media? It's cool.
um, so I think it comes from a couple places. So from my understanding, the dietitian profession started out in the hospital.
Yeah.
So they were following protocols, diet specific to treat specific diseases,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so I've been a dietitian since 90, I forget, no, 2007, 2008. So when I was in school, it was very like diet focused, like this diet for heart disease, this diet for kidney disease, this diet for diabetes, right? We had like one class on nutritional counseling.
Mm.
Um, we did have a semester on cultural nutrition,
Mhm.
and we had a little section on like community nutrition, but
Mhm.
it was mostly about how to manage different disease states. And I think that um, from that background, when people started, like they expounded to like outpatient settings, they took that same like mindset into that. So dietitians were known for putting people on diets regardless of what was going on. And it wasn't really friendly. So like
Yeah.
I barely ever tell people I'm a dietitian in like a social setting, just because there's like kind of a negative ish connotation. It's starting to die out a little bit, but most people don't want to work with a dietitian outpatient because they think they're going to be put on a very strict diet and it's not going to be much empathy or individualness to it.
Right.
I make up words, individual.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Hi, I do that. My husband be like, "What are you talking about?"
All words in it.
Um, right. So I think that's the root of it. I think that it didn't take in consideration culture. You know, like even though we did have that cultural piece in college, it wasn't like sewn throughout our education, right? So I think that's where it came from. The whole high fiber diet, I believe that came out in the 90s,
Mhm.
where I guess when they did the evaluation on how people were eating, it showed that people weren't eating enough fiber in their diet. So that's when they started adding fiber to cereals and adding fiber to bread and pasta and like all these things, because it was just trying to get people to eat more fiber. The reality is that if you like that kind of food, that's great, right? But if you don't, that's fine too. You can get your fiber in other ways,
Yep.
like making sure you're eating enough fruits and vegetables and making sure, you're having a variety of different nuts and seeds and you're eating the skins on your sweet potato or white potatoes,
Oh my God, white potatoes. Alexis, as a person with diabetes, the fact that you're recommending not just a carb, but a white carb that's going to hit my blood sugar super fast, I don't even know what kind of message you're trying to send here. I mean, diabetes, we can't have that, which is, yeah, I think what everything you said, yeah, it's just 100%. And it's interesting because I came into the field officially like I was in school, started grad school 5 years, 2016. Like, wow, I can't believe that been that long already. But the way that we were taught as nutrition educators was food is flexible, and that yes, we have the guidelines, the federal guidelines, but also they were sure to hammer into us that you have to make it individualized, which is why it actually is tough if I say like in a social setting, I'm a nutrition educator, and if I get the what is the best diet, and it's such a question that I I feel bad for saying like I can't answer that because I don't know you, and I don't know what you like. I don't know if you're managing any chronic illnesses. I don't know about your financial situation. I don't know you and well enough to answer, what could be the best, even not diet, but eating pattern, which is a more inclusive term to the term diet. But we were taught to see the individual person and then seeing like what what does the research say and how do we apply to that person instead of saying how do we do the reverse of that, taking an individual saying these are the guidelines, follow them, bam bam bam, because that doesn't work for anyone either. um
No.
so it's just it is interesting because I look at social media a lot, and um Instagram in particular, because that's where you see like a lot of like the foodie stuff, and it's interesting seeing the some of the posts that show like the row of prepped meals, and it looks so pretty and so uniform versus like seeing posts like you and other nutritionists and dietitians I follow who say things like if you have a craving, honor it, or there is no one way to eating a healthy eating pattern. um, it is Nutrition really is really robust, and it's hard. There's no one size fits all at the end of the day.
Right.
And like gosh, there was something else about meal planning I saw. Oh, it's I saw something on Twitter recently, and or Facebook, and it said, oh, my meal plan is going great, but instead of food it's money inside the meal plan container. And I looked at that and I was like, I know that's a joke, but I was like, that's actually kind of genius because I would love to put in just cash into different things and taking that and being like, okay, what could I get for this? Because that, in my opinion, it keeps me on budget, but it's not restricting me to a certain type of meal. I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
good.
let's wrap up. Alexis,
Yes.
any final words on nutrition, diet, living with diabetes, what these things mean to you? What is a take home message you want people to take home?
I feel like what's been resonating with me and just with my clients, but specifically me, giving yourself grace. You know what I mean? Like meaning that if you make a mistake, like it's okay. If you miscount your carbs and you're now 400, but you enjoyed that piece of cake, like oh well, take more insulin and move on. If you're really trying to, get your health back in order, that's great. But if you happen to fall off for a couple weeks, that's fine too. Evaluate what has happened
Mhm.
and let's move on. Like getting stuck in this negative mindset is very easy. I do it myself,
Right,
so I'm not just preaching to y'all, I'm preaching to myself. Like we just have to give ourselves more grace when it comes to health, wellness, and just life in general.
right. Thank you, Alexis, for saying that. And also, can you tell the people where to find you?
Yeah, so for nutrition on Instagram, it's Alexis underscore M underscore Newman, Newman. And for things about diabetes, everyday life, random shots of my toddler, but not her face, but her arm. That's Lady Lex, Ladielex. And that's also on Instagram.
Awesome. And everyone, thank you so much for tuning into this conversation. I've loved having Alexis on, and I would definitely love to have her on again. Check her out. She's amazing. And if you have diabetes, I hope that this conversation resonated with you, and I hope that you kind of, you know, relax. It's okay. Like you don't need to follow a specific diet. If you feel like you are just kind of stuck in one place, take a step back and then probably write out everything that you like and how you want to fit that into your life. Because it is your life, and there's no one size fits all approach to eating a balanced diet or eating pattern. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll be back with another interview soon. Otherwise, please hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Instagram at TR Talks Food, Facebook at TR Talks Food, and Twitter TR Talks Food. And definitely go check out Alexis. And if you can still see her mug in the view, that is Black Diabetic Girl. Please go check out Kylene's store. Support Black-owned businesses, especially Black-owned businesses from people with diabetes. Thanks, everyone, and we will talk to you later. Peace.